During an online class, my boyfriend forgot to mute his microphone. Over 200 people unintentionally eavesdropped on his plans for a date with a junior girl. The next day, he casually brought up the topic of marriage with me, while that same girl sweetly asked me for a birthday gift. The entire year group watched their performance in silence. Not a single soul stepped forward to tell them the mic had been on the whole time. Everyone became part of my Avengers team of revenge. Chapter 1 today was the TA's problem-solving session. The class had over 200 students, and they all joined the online meeting on time. While everyone was online, hardly anyone was actually listening. My roommate and I were just chatting here and there. She asked me when I was going to marry David.
Probably soon, I said.
We'll probably get our marriage license after the semester ends. David and I started dating in our first year of college. Now we're in our second year of grad school, and it's been 6 years. Our parents had already met. My mom and dad had some concerns about David's family background. He was from a small southern town. His mom didn't work and his dad took odd jobs. They'd made it clear they couldn't help him financially. But David was amazing, top of his class, super handsome, and totally charming. He squeezed my hand in front of my parents and swore he'd always treat me right. My dad had the final say, deciding that a hero's origins don't matter as he approved the marriage. My family would pay for the house, renovations, car, and wedding expenses. As long as I was happy with David, that's all that mattered to them. So, you're getting married after finals? Awesome. Can't wait to be the baby's godmother. My roommate grinned mid-chat when suddenly she pointed at her headphones. She pointed at her headphones and said, "Hey, David's mic is still on. Tell him to mute it." I rushed to my laptop. Sure enough, while the TA was explaining the problems, I could hear David humming a song along with splashing water sounds. The TA paused. David, could you mute your mic, please?" No response. He probably muted his phone and left it somewhere. I grabbed my phone and called him. No answer. I was about to call again when unmistakable noises erupted. My hand froze in place. My roommate's face changed suddenly. The TA stopped talking. The class group chat went dead silent, but my roommate's phone buzzed like crazy. Damn. What's going on? David's really wilding out in broad daylight. Bro's got energy to burn. Was I better than Diana? Obviously you, David chuckled. I don't mind keeping this up after your wedding. She's clueless. When I cried about never owning fancy bags, she promised to gift me one. Can't pass up a free ride like that, David said flatly. I typed calmly. Please end the meeting, senior. I'm not marrying him, but I'm not done with him yet. He'll pay back everything he took. The class chat fell completely silent, but my roommate's phone kept buzzing nonstop. A few classmates had already created a private group chat. What the heck is going on? David's got a lot of energy for the middle of the day. They're going all out. What do you know? They're practically married already. Someone messaged my roommate, Diana's your roommate, right? Maybe, don't tell her about this. This is so embarrassing, most people couldn't handle it. Messages kept flooding in one after another, and within minutes the group swelled to over 100 people. My roommate sat frozen beside me, too stunned to speak. Wait, this seems like... That's not Diana? What's going on? Meanwhile, the audio shifted. The strange noises stopped, replaced by a sweet, teasing voice. So, who's better, me or Diana? David said warmly. Of course you are. The group chat went quiet. No one saw this huge twist coming. Everyone froze, listening hard. The TA, 2 years older than us and a PhD student under the professor, could have ended the meeting right then. But she froze like everyone else. My hands and feet went ice cold, but my mind kept working. I recognized the girl's voice instantly. It was Daniela, my closest junior. Then she pouted and said, "If you like me more, why are you still with her?" David chuckled. "Oh yeah? You're gonna help me get a job and sort out my residency permit?" Daniela didn't seem bothered. She giggled. "No problem. We can keep doing this even after you're married. I'm totally cool with it. But be careful," Daniela warned. "Don't get caught. I don't want Diana to hate me. She's been so nice to me." When I cried about never owning a designer bag, she promised to give me one for my birthday. David replied indifferently, "People like her, rich and gullible, are hard to come by these days." "That's why you're so lucky, David," Daniela teased. "You're set for at least 20 years without lifting a finger." The two of them were laughing and playing around together. The group chat went dead silent. I took a deep breath, long and deep, like the more air I breathed in, the calmer I became. "Add me to the group chat," I whispered to my roommate. When my name showed up in the group chat, everyone went quiet. "Diana, are you okay?" Her boyfriend added in the group chat. "Even us guys in the dorm think he's trash." Another roommate added, "Seriously, we're all pissed. When David gets back, we're gonna teach him a lesson. That scumbag makes us all lose face." The group's anger kept growing. The cursing got worse and worse. I typed calmly, "TA, could you please end the meeting?" The TA was also in the group. A few seconds later, the meeting was closed. "Thank you, everyone. Let's all just act like we didn't hear a thing." My friends quickly jumped in to stop me. "Diana, you're not really going to stay with him, are you? You're just engaged now. The loss is already huge, but getting married would make things even worse. Once a cheater, always a cheater." I pressed the voice message button and whispered, "I won't marry him, but I'm not dumping him right away either. I'll make him return everything he's tricked me out of over the years, piece by piece." Chapter 2. 10 minutes before class ended, David picked up his phone to check in, only to find the session had wrapped up early. There was my missed call staring back at him. He dialed me instantly. When I answered, his voice carried unmistakable nerves and fishing questions. "Why did class let out early?" he asked. "And why do you call me during the lecture?" I kept my voice breezy. The TA wasn't feeling well, so she ended class early. "Then why did you call?" "No reason," I said casually. "Just wanted to see if you'd grab barbecue after class." His voice relaxed slightly, but kept some guard up. "Gotta finish my internship test today." "Tomorrow? Be good, okay?" I made a few mild complaints before hanging up. Actually, my dad got David that internship at the top investment bank. After our talk, David still doubted me, so he went to ask the teaching assistant. "Are you feeling better now?" he asked, testing if I had lied. But the teaching assistant and I had already prepared our story. She replied smoothly, "I feel much better after some sleep. Let me know if you have any questions later." She sent me the chat screenshot. David should be reassured now. I gripped my phone, replying calmly, "No, it's not over yet." David would head back to his dorm soon, and I knew he'd check with his 3 roommates. One of them was my friend's boyfriend, who secretly recorded their conversation for me. As expected, the moment David got back to the dorm, he asked his roommates, "There wasn't a roll call in today's class, right?" "Huh?" "No," they answered distractedly. One was glued to his video game, another flipping through a novel, and the last one dozing off, everyone acting completely uninterested. Only after David left did they suddenly jump up, full of energy. "What a loser. Let's not play basketball with him anymore, or girls will think we're just like him." Their acting was perfect. David was completely clueless, totally believing nothing unusual happened that day. Compared to David, Daniela was even less cautious. She invited me to her birthday party. The reason was simple. She kept touching my Chanel bag, switching between envy and self-pity until I felt bad and promised to give her one. Asking me to the party was just her way of making sure I kept that promise. I said yes. Soon, Daniela's birthday came. Being the social butterfly she was, she invited a bunch of people from our grade to her birthday party. The night before the party, I asked David, "I'm going to a junior's birthday party tomorrow where I can bring someone. Want to come with me?" David's expression faltered for a split second before he recovered. "Why would I crash your junior's party?" "You've met her. The cheerleader, Daniela. She's super pretty." David frowned, pretending to think. "Oh, that name sounds familiar." Such amazing acting. I laughed to myself. David still wanted to say no, so I pretended to be annoyed. "Can't you even give me this little face?" David hadn't taken the investment bank's interview yet, and I'd made sure he knew the hiring manager was my dad's friend, practically my aunt. He wouldn't risk upsetting me right before such a big opportunity. Grudgingly, he agreed to come along. On Daniela's birthday, I walked up to her with David on my arm. Everyone gathered around, watching the three of us meet up, probably the most exciting gossip they'd ever seen in their lives. Daniela looked at me with a sugar-sweet smile. "Hey, senior. You came. Did you bring my present?" I smiled, then pushed David toward Daniela. "Here he is." The room was in shock. Both Daniela and David went pale. I watched their embarrassment for 2 seconds, then smirked and tapped David's shoulder. "Stop staring. The gift's in that bag you're holding." David's face had just turned pale, but he sighed in relief when he heard me. He quickly took out a small Chanel bag from the bag and handed it to Daniela. "I've heard Diana mention you a lot," David said with that polite, too cool for school smile seniors use. Daniela's eyes lit up as she grabbed the bag. "Thanks. She's told me tons about you too." The two of them probably thought they were nailing their performance. Everyone around lowered their gaze, cringing hard. My roommate tugged me aside. "You bought Daniela a Chanel?" I grinned. "Fake." She sighed. "Nobody actually came for her birthday. We're all just here to watch the drama."
Exactly.
A modern campus drama, with Daniela as the main girl and David as the secret leading guy. Even though everyone tried to hide their curiosity, David still noticed something. He came over and said, "Did you see all the girls checking me out?" Good thing I was ready. I laughed right away. "Well, what do you expect? You're looking hotter than ever today." David was always confident about his charm. No wonder. He had me, a rich girlfriend who let him take advantage of her, and Daniela, the prettiest girl on campus who was happy to be his secret fling. Of course, his ego was massive. As expected, David ate it up. Smirking, he pulled me closer. "Better watch out with such a hot boyfriend. Treat me wrong and someone might steal me." A guy nearby suddenly spit out his drink, splashing it all over the place. "What's your problem?" David snapped, wiping his shirt where the drink almost spilled. Sorry. The guy choked out laughter, bolting toward the bathroom. "Just got queasy all at once." David watched the guy leave with a frown, then turned to me. "You know, it's not just girls who get all catty. Guys get jealous too." "Oh, absolutely. Every girl on earth is fighting over you, and every guy's jealous." I mentally spammed sarcastic comments while keeping a sweet smile.
Totally.
After dealing with David, I walked away and quietly checked my phone. The group chat was flooded with hundreds of messages. "I had my driver park the car right outside the restaurant," said one of my rich buddies. "Fernanda, when's your cousin getting here?" the TA asked. "He's already at the entrance," said my roommate Fernanda. "Okay, let's stick to the plan." The chat instantly flooded with popcorn munching emoji reactions. As the birthday party was ending, I took David and left early. Shortly after, when Daniela and her classmates were leaving the restaurant, a Maserati almost hit her. Out stepped a tall, incredibly handsome guy who looked like a TV star. He kept apologizing and insisted on driving Daniela to the hospital. Daniela wasn't hurt at all, but she immediately got into the Maserati's front seat. "You should have seen it," Fernanda said later, shaking her head. "She tried so hard to act cute and helpless. We almost threw up watching her put on that show." I smiled. This is just the opening act. Chapter 3, of course. Not everyone's acting skills were that good. For example, the vice president of the student council, where David was a member. Around midterms, when the list of outstanding members was announced, David was shocked to find his name missing and immediately went to confront the vice president in charge of his department. The vice president, who was the TA's roommate, had known about David's behavior from the TA for a long time. Having a fiery temper, when David asked why he wasn't selected as outstanding member, she snapped, "Outstanding leaders must excel in moral, intellectual, physical, artistic, and practical development. You don't deserve it." The teaching assistant witnessed the scene and frantically texted me. Oh God. I couldn't stop her fiery temper. Did we just get exposed? Don't worry. How did David react when he left? He was fuming. Then it's fine. I smiled confidently. Sure enough, when David came to eat with me, the first thing he brought up was the student council vice president. She's just getting back at me, David said angrily, poking his bowl with chopsticks. Last year she wouldn't stop chasing me, and when I said no, she stayed mad. By the way, Diana, aren't you close with the student council president? Can you figure out a way to tell the president? Let them know the vice president is using her position to get back at me. After all, getting the Outstanding Member Award gives points for the overall evaluation. I only clashed with the vice president because of you, Diana. I was lost in thought but snapped back when David called my name. I immediately sided with him, saying, no problem. Just yesterday, at the restaurant we often go to, the owner quietly told me that after I paid and left each time, David would come back to get a receipt. I was confused at first, but David mentioning the student council suddenly made sense. Since the Daniela drama still needed time to build up, I might as well deal with David's stuff first. I immediately called the student council president. We were classmates in the same elective course and close friends. After hearing me out, she chuckled and replied, got it. The next day, at the student council's general meeting, the president announced that many student leaders had been misusing activity funds and taking special funds for themselves, and this needed to be strictly punished. David showed up at my dorm, pale-faced, and grabbed me suddenly, demanding, what did you tell the president? I innocently batted my eyes and said, just told her to check into the vice president properly. You see, the vice president revoked your award nomination because you rejected her advances. Someone who misuses their authority like this has probably done other shady things too. We should investigate her thoroughly. David's face turned red and white in quick succession. A week later, they dug up all the details about David lying on expense reports and abusing his position to steal money. He was kicked out of the student council and got a serious punishment from the school. When he got called out publicly, the student council president and vice president were hanging out at my family's private bar, sharing drinks. I'm sorry, Junior, the vice president told me. I did try to date him before, but I didn't know many people in your department, and David always made it seem like he was single. It suddenly made sense. Those photos of us he posted online were probably only visible to certain people. After I found out he had a girlfriend, I stopped talking to him privately. I patted the vice president's shoulder. No need to apologize. The president smiled as she peeled salted peanuts. You two should clink glasses. I raised my glass and clinked it with the vice president's. Congratulations on escaping that jerk. The vice president laughed. Hope you can ditch that scumbag soon. We both drank our cold beer. The vice president put down her glass and suddenly thought of something. Hey, Junior, be careful, she said. David took such a big hit. Do you think he might try to hit you? Don't worry, he won't dare. With this demerit in his school record, getting a job will be super hard for him. I smirked coldly. Now I'm the only hope he's got left. Chapter 4. As expected, David didn't blame me. In fact, he became completely obedient. After all, I controlled his internship fate at a top investment bank. David's reputation took a nosedive after getting kicked out of student council and getting publicly called out. All the girls who used to crush on him as the cool senior vanished like popped bubbles. David was feeling down and badly needed comfort from Daniela. David was stunned, but I wasn't surprised at all after secretly checking his computer and seeing the chat logs. Everything was going according to my plan. Once David was the charming, accomplished guy, but now Daniela had found a better option. She was head over heels for a handsome rich guy who drove a Maserati. David was just an average guy with decent looks, while the rich heir looked like he jumped straight out of a TV show. This guy had everything: crazy money, model-level looks, killer humor, perfect manners, and he even told Daniela he wanted to settle down young and start a family. I could easily guess what was going through Daniela's mind. Marrying him would instantly rocket her to the top. For this, she would do anything to achieve it. During their first meeting, Daniela was carrying a knockoff Chanel bag I'd given her. The rich heir naturally assumed she came from a good family. He kept telling Daniela, I only buy Hermes for girls carrying Hermes. My family wants me to marry someone from our own circle. Could you come to my house for dinner this Saturday? I told my parents I met someone special. They want to meet you. With the chance to leap into high society right in front of her, who wouldn't go wild over it? Daniela immediately thought of me, so she came pouting and begging to borrow my clothes and bags. But I knew exactly what was coming and stood my ground. I told her I don't share my things, no matter how much she begged. I could tell Daniela was starting to get upset with me. But revenge could wait. Tomorrow was Saturday, and today she needed the full, rich girl outfit to become a wealthy family's bride-to-be by tomorrow.
She went to David next.
David panicked. Do you want me to steal Diana's bag? She'll find out. But Daniela didn't care. If you don't help me, I'll tell Diana everything. Let's see if your job, residency, or house will stay safe after that. David, furious but too scared to confront her, finally choked out, "Take the apartment key and get it yourself." David and I had rented an apartment off campus. After the online class scandal, I kept making excuses to avoid physical contact with him and hadn't stayed there in ages. David thought if Daniela borrowed the bag on Friday and returned it by Sunday, I wouldn't find out. So that Friday evening, Daniela took the key David gave her and walked into my closet. If I were Daniela, I would have just taken one outfit. But Daniela went way further. She grabbed a Chanel skirt set, Van Cleef and Arpels earrings, a Cartier bracelet, and a Hermes bag. Daniela strolled out the door with her arms full of stolen goodies. But then, loaded with bags, she suddenly came face to face with me downstairs. Some of my close friends stood beside me, and Fernanda exclaimed the moment she spotted her. "Hey, isn't that Daniela's? Is that a Hermes bag?" Fernanda blurted out. Another girl immediately played along, dramatically turning to me. "Diana, isn't this exactly like yours?" One of the girls played along perfectly, looking at me with exaggerated surprise. "Diana, don't you have the exact same one? Hey, isn't that your outfit? I even helped you pick it out." Daniela froze, and I started walking towards her. I knew Daniela wasn't very smart, but I didn't realize she was this clueless. When she saw me walking toward her, her first reaction was to run. That's it, no turning back now. Any chance she had to explain herself vanished when she tried to run. Fernanda and I locked eyes. We were the top two finishers in the girls' 100-meter sprint at the school track meet. Half a minute later, Daniela was pinned down while Fernanda called the police. Chapter 5. The items Daniela had stolen were worth over 200,000 yuan, with all the evidence ready. The amount was huge, and the situation was really bad. At the police station, Daniela, with tears streaming down her face, insisted that she and David had a deal. She was only borrowing, not stealing. I called David. When he arrived, I just stood there, watching him quietly. After 6 years together, I truly wanted to know what David would decide. When I saw the overly innocent and shocked look he had put on, my heart ached with a dull pain. This man was even worse than I thought. He was willing to send Daniela to hell just to save himself. Sure enough, David claimed his keys had been stolen, insisted he barely knew Daniela except meeting her a couple times, and swore he knew nothing about the whole situation. Daniela snapped, "David, are you even human?" She turned to me with red-rimmed eyes. "Diana, we've been together since last year. He told me he was only after your money." David turned pale, walked over to me with trembling lips, and said, "Diana, is that Junior crazy? I don't understand a word she's saying." The officer nearby asked Daniela, "You claim David gave you the key. Do you have any proof?" "Yes, of course." Daniela pulled out her phone, hands shaking as she opened WeChat, then froze. She looked at David, trembling all over, let out a scream, and lunged at him. "You planned this. You told me to delete everything." Two officers held her by both arms as Daniela crumpled to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I realized what must have happened. I could picture David telling Daniela, "Now that you're dating a rich guy, delete our chat history before your new boyfriend sees it." David had his exit plan ready from the moment Daniela threatened him, and he considered giving her the key. This man was even crueler and more heartless than I had ever imagined. At this moment, he looked at me with puppy dog eyes full of fake love and said, "You're the only one I've ever loved." Suppressing the urge to vomit from the storm inside me, I forced a smile. "I believe you. David, your karma is coming." Chapter 06. I told the police I wanted to handle things privately, but when we got back to school, Daniela still got expelled. David told a school that she was taken to the police station. He couldn't let Daniela stay at school any longer because she was like a ticking time bomb to him. Of course, Daniela never saw her handsome, rich boyfriend again. The Maserati belonged to my friend's family. That wealthy guy was Fernanda's cousin, the most popular guy in the art school's drama department. Daniela wasn't a good girl, but I knew very well that David had always been worse. Yet at this moment, David showed no signs of being bad. He took care of my every need like he was serving royalty, clearly aiming to be named one of the world's top 100 boyfriends. The day I passed the interview at the top brokerage firm, David and I went out to celebrate. After a few drinks, he got emotional and said, "Diana, you're the only one who really cares about me." I looked at his serious face and wavered for a second. But only a second. My gut feeling was that a wolf wouldn't stop being a wolf just because someone was kind. And David quickly proved me right. David and I were interning at the same company and got placed on the same team. During the onboarding training, there was a girl in our group you could tell was special just by looking. She had that easygoing confidence that comes from growing up rich. The other interns had already uncovered her identity. She was Valentina, the boss's only daughter. David was sitting next to me, but when he noticed an empty seat beside Valentina, he excused himself to go to the bathroom. On his way back, he took the seat next to her. I laughed to myself and kept scribbling notes quickly. David looked down on Daniela, but he turned out to be even worse than her. After starting the job, I threw myself into work and always stayed latest. When David tried to charm Valentina in obvious and sneaky ways, I just pretended not to see. Valentina seemed interested in David too. Every afternoon, she'd ask if he wanted milk tea. Within 2 weeks, David's roommate forwarded me a chat log from their dorm group where David had posted messages. Who would have thought society's become so open that even the CEO's daughter would make the first moves? On the surface, it looked like a complaint, but he was clearly bragging and showing off. Some roommates who couldn't stand him sneered, "She hasn't even confessed." David shot back, "Quit being jealous. When a woman adds you on WeChat, chats daily, and orders you food, you think she just wants to be friends?" I almost laughed out loud when I saw the chat messages. Valentina asked David what novels he liked reading. He scoffed, "I don't waste time on trivial stories," then proudly added he only studied political and economic literature daily. Valentina asked if he had seen the new blockbuster movie, and David said he never watches mainstream films, only obscure art house ones. I felt ashamed that I ever liked someone so fake. Clearly, with the CEO's daughter showing interest, David's heart, still bruised from Daniela rejecting him for being poor, started burning again. Suddenly, he thought he was hot stuff. He stopped doing his work properly. When the manager criticized him during a team meeting, he panicked a bit, but had fallen too far behind without learning the basics. The pile of Excel files might as well have been hieroglyphics to him. He asked if I could help him with some work, and I immediately played the sympathy card, complaining that I couldn't even finish my own tasks. By the last month of the internship, it was clear David had stopped trying. He came to the office daily just to sign in, mostly to see Valentina. Every time I saw Valentina and David play fighting in the break room, I'd sigh quietly and remember that old fable about the shepherd boy and the woodcutter. On Friday night, I changed out of my suit, put on a baseball cap and a mask, and headed to the Japanese restaurant near the office. Valentina and David were having dinner there. I sat down behind a screen, sipping my drink and listening quietly. David panicked. "What? There's only one full-time position after the internship." "Yeah, my dad gave me the inside scoop. But don't go spreading this around, okay?" "David, but there are 3 interns in our group. If only one position is available." "Linlin, are you staying?" Chapter 8. When David and I were in love, we had a couple's account where we shared our daily lives. Since we both went to top schools and were good-looking, we even became famous as a smart couple, and the account gained a lot of followers. For the past few months, the account hadn't been updated, and our followers kept asking for new posts. When I said I was going to live stream David's birthday party, they all got really excited. David's birthday was held at our rented apartment. All our close classmates were invited. I set up the live stream camera. Today is David's 25th birthday. First, happy birthday to him. On this special day, I'm giving David 3 presents. David looked super excited. Over the years, I'd given him fancy suits and diamond cufflinks for his birthdays, and he'd kept hinting he wanted a car this time. I turned on the projector. David looked disappointed. Once, for his birthday, I'd spent 2 weeks putting together a video of our memories as a gift. All our friends cried watching it, but David got mad at me for weeks, calling it a babyish present. At the time, I didn't get why he hated it. Now I finally see.
My feelings meant zero to him.
To David, gifts had lost their original meaning long ago and became just another way to squeeze money out of me. David, the gifts I'm giving you today will make sure you never forget this birthday. The projector flickered to life. The first birthday present is called Chat Logs. I put up David's chat history from the dorm group where he bragged about Valentina liking him on the big screen. Of course, I blocked out any private info. Everyone could see the smug look behind every word he'd typed. Diana, what are you doing? David stared at me, shocked. I pretended not to hear him, clicking the remote with a cold face. The next gift is company surveillance footage. Don't worry, each gift will be more shocking than the last. The company security footage played on the big screen, showing David approach Diana's labeled workstation, log into her computer, type the password, locate her work files, and delete them with one click. I said softly, my voice heavy with sorrow. David, did you know? I actually left you a path to redemption. The computer password was your birthday. If you had felt even a tiny bit touched or hesitated while trying it, if you had remembered our 6 years together, you wouldn't have gone down this path. But you didn't. I bet you were too busy being proud of your own smarts and relieved that I was so naive. When you deleted my files, you didn't even hesitate. David tried to charge forward. He knew if the live stream kept going, his reputation would be ruined forever. But I was already prepared. I had arranged for 2 guys to grab him from both sides. David, I have a question. During our 6-year relationship, how many times did you cheat on me? The live stream camera hung clearly in view as the viewer numbers kept climbing. David gritted his teeth, desperately arguing, no, Diana, I don't get why you're doing this. I already told you what happened at work. It was an accident. If you hate me, you don't need to get back at me like this. I cut him off. All right, here's my final gift for you. With cruel satisfaction, I hit play. The last gift is called online class recording. David was held down by the 2 guys. When he heard online course recording, his face suddenly looked confused and blank. The recording's progress bar crawled across the big screen while the teaching assistant's calm voice continued explaining the lesson. David looked completely lost about why we were playing this. He had already forgotten. Over the years, there must have been many times he secretly met other girls without getting caught. That online class incident was just another ordinary slip-up he'd long forgotten. The next moment, the sound of running water started. It was the shower. David's face twisted in fury. He thrashed wildly and roared, Diana, you knew everything. You've been toying with me. Yes, I knew everything. I stared coldly at his twisted face, now ugly and disgusting. Nothing like the kind, handsome man I'd first met. Thanks, David. Thanks for leaving your mic on that day. It showed me exactly who you are. David screamed in rage, broke free from the 2 boys restraining him, and charged straight at me. As panicked shouts filled the room, he grabbed a candlestick and hurled it toward me. I sidestepped as the candlestick whizzed past me, slamming into the wall. David stood there, a creepy smile spreading across his face. Diana, he said, you just destroyed my whole life. I'll never let you get away with this. Never. He seemed to have gone crazy. He suddenly ripped off his jacket and bolted outside. The classmates, scared he might lose control, rushed after him. I followed behind, watching as David rushed out of the apartment complex. He turned around and screamed at me, I'll never let you get away with this, you bitch. Karma's gonna get you. Just you wait and see. The next second, a car turning the corner hit him and sent him flying. Chapter 9. That live stream caused a big stir online. But with how fast news moves these days, everyone's attention quickly shifted to newer events. After graduation, I dove headfirst into my career. Within 3 years, I earned 2 promotions, setting a new company record for fastest advancement. My parents beamed with pride while my friends cheered me on. Later, I heard updates about Daniela. An acquaintance mentioned she'd been hanging around shady bars for free drinks and even got beaten up by a middle-aged businessman's wife after pestering him to buy her a phone, landing her in the hospital. The acquaintance showed me her photo. Even though she was a year younger than me, all the smoking, drinking, and heavy makeup she wore every day made her look way older.
David didn't die.
He survived, but needs a wheelchair. Maybe the head injury affected his mind. Now he wheels around town every day. If a woman glances at him twice, he'll chase her down the street asking if she likes him. A friend told me all this, and I calmly said, whatever happens to him later won't be my business anymore. In life, we face being let down, deceived, betrayed, and hurt. It's natural to want revenge. That's not wrong, but what matters more than revenge is beginning our new lives. I still hold on to my belief in love and the courage to love. Having seen life's true nature, I continue to embrace it wholeheartedly. Fernanda's cousin keeps making excuses to take me out for meals. The former drama class heartthrob, now a rising acting star, still acts a bit shy around me. He asked me when the wounds from past heartbreaks would heal and whether, once they did, I could open my heart to love again. But David was exceptional. Not only did he have top grades, but he was also incredibly handsome. He squeezed my hand in front of my parents and vowed to treat me well for the rest of his life. Love has never hurt me. What hurt me were the bad people I met through love, but they shouldn't be the reason we blame love. As for when I can start a new relationship, I shrugged. Whenever the timing feels right, I can begin anytime. Before I could finish, Fernanda's cousin sprang up. Wait here. 10 minutes later, he dashed back clutching a massive bunch of roses, his face flushed like the petals. Maybe we could start right now. I smiled. I still believe in the world's gentleness. And I trust that though life's journey may be dusty, you and I will eventually find our way home. Of course I'm not staying. My dad just wanted me here to learn and get some experience. So the position will definitely go to either you or Diana. David sighed in relief. That's good. Tina, could you ask your dad to? I could try, but getting a full-time offer isn't a joke. It has to go through multiple approvals. Your work isn't even close to Diana's. What do you mean? Didn't you notice? While we were sipping milk tea and chatting, Diana was busy with her work. I took a quick look the other day. Her analysis for the industry research was nearly done. No, Tina, your dad. If your work and Diana's were close, maybe I could beg my dad to help. But with this big difference, even he can't make exceptions. David fell silent for a long time. Finally, he said softly, I get it. You should still talk to your dad, Val. I'll handle the rest on my own. David left. Once his footsteps faded away, Valentina slid open the partition and sat facing me. She casually picked up my chopsticks, took a piece of salmon, and mumbled with her mouth full. So, how's my acting? Not bad, right? I gave her a thumbs up. I'm exhausted, Valentina complained while stuffing her face. Hanging out with him is so gross. Having to act like I'm into him. I rolled my eyes. I had other ways to deal with him, but the second you heard we were interning at your dad's company, you just had to jump in and act. Couldn't resist showing off your acting skills, huh? What else could I do? Watch my best friend get fooled by that jerk for 6 years and do nothing. Valentina downed my sake. Do you think David will try something risky? I laughed. Trust me, he will. He thinks he's better than he really is. When others get better jobs, it kills him inside. But now he's got a black mark on his school record and a bad reputation. If HR runs a background check, they'll find out. No decent job would take him. This company is his last chance. He got the internship through me, and now he wants to use you to land the full-time job. He treats women like stepping stones, climbing up one step at a time, and he won't let anything ruin his final chance to succeed. On Saturday, Valentina came to my house for dinner. In the middle of the meal, her phone rang. Valentina answered the call, and within seconds, her eyes snapped to me. I calmly set down my chopsticks, knowing my plan had worked. Chapter 7. Valentina's comment, "If your work results are about the same," became David's last lifeline. Next Monday is the deadline, and there's no way he can recreate my months of work in just 2 days. So there's only one way left. Make sure I lose my work too. I've saved all the market research data on my personal computer. If it gets submitted this Monday, the outcome will be crystal clear. But if all the data was gone, everything would turn into chaos, and that mess would at least give David a chance to act. So that Saturday, when no one was at the office, David sneaked in and turned on my computer. Then he was pinned down by security guards rushing in. Who can he blame? Only himself for not paying attention during the onboarding training, too busy trying to flirt with Valentina. If only he had listened, he would have known. First, all our work, including data, code, and written analysis, is the company's property. Second, all workstations are monitored. And I had already backed up the data he tried to delete. The company sued David, demanding he pay for the damages. The amount was impossibly huge for him, completely drowning him in stress. He tried to ask Valentina for help, but she said she didn't want anything to do with someone who destroyed what he couldn't have and blocked him on WeChat. Perhaps out of desperation, or clinging to a last shred of hope, David somehow circled back to seeing me as his final lifeline again. After all, I had been acting so clueless and weak this whole time, blindly trusting David. He told me through tears that he just wanted to check the files on my computer and accidentally pressed the one-click delete button. We're getting married. What's yours is mine, and mine is yours. Whether you get the promotion or I do, what's the difference? Why would I ever try to hurt you? Tears streaming down his face, he said with utmost sincerity, "Diana, you have to believe me. Believe in my love for you. I have nothing left now but you." I helped David up. "Your birthday is next week," I said. "Let's just focus on that for now.